Not. Hey, everybody. First of all, we're here and good friend Brandon Jones. Brandon, how you doing, man?
Not so good, man. I just got the news, what I'm saying, the A's, what I'm saying, the whole thing with the future in Oakland is looking real. It's, hey, they're gone. I'm wearing my A's shirt right now. Oakland
Hmm.
A's, what I'm saying? But shoot, they already celebrating the Las Vegas A's. From what I hear out there at LV, it's pretty sad the vote to come to that, what I'm saying, expected. I know those people personally who voted no. I can say any names, you know who they are. It's not cool. What I'm saying? Last time I checked at lunchtime, we was up 6-1, yes. And all that happened. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what to call it. I'm very PO'd right now. I have to come to your show start use profanity. But I'm trying to say I'm just trying to water it down.
Well, let's see. Let's figure out what's going on here first for everybody. First of all, to catch you up, everybody, and I'm going to put this Twitter page on here to share the screen in the background. But the Oakland City Council took a vote of 6 yes. I'll get to that in the background to keep it on us. Excuse me for a second. 6 yes, 1 no. That was Noel Gallo, and then one abstention. That was Carol Fife to accept the city's version. Excuse me, of the term sheet that the Athletics had originally submitted. This 2 weeks ago, the city said they weren't happy with it, and there seemed to be a lot of wiggle room. But what's happening is that Major League Baseball, starting on the 31st of March, really the 27th of March of this year, put its foot down and, to make a long story short, forced the hand of the city through Dave Cavall to say, hey, look, we want a council decision on our future. You need to do it now. When I had Dave on my show to talk about what was going on, he said, that the reason for this was as they were coming out of the pandemic from their perspective with baseball, they took a look at the city's people, the city staff's people, let me rephrase what I'm saying, contacted them and said that you're not going to have a stadium until 2027. And they felt that was unacceptable, that they could do something better. So that's when they started to entertain first going to multiple cities, naming Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Nashville. And then within about a week, it narrowed from those three cities to just one, Las Vegas. And then, as recently as a few days ago, it seemed like baseball was widening its scope again. But I know for a fact that Dave Cavall has met with a number of key players who are online to actually get something done in terms of finding a site for the Athletics there. But even with that, the Athletics are going to have to go through the study process and the pre-development process, okay? And they're losing 2 years in terms of it, but really they might be able to make that up again. Well, 1 second. Hey, Gary, we got a live stream. My friend Brandon Jones. You guys might have been in the same room. How you doing?
I'm just telling you, man. I love what you're doing, Zenny.
Thank you.
Keep it up, man. I love the podcast. I love the streams. You're doing a great job, dude.
Thank you, man. Hey, Gary, you and Brandon were both involved with Save Oakland Sports, and Gary was kind enough to show up to my little Lucas presentation about the.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. I've been a fan forever, Zenny.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job. You really are. I love the interview with Cavell. You're spelling it out nicely.
Thank you.
All your expertise is coming in. You break out the financing. You're doing a great job, dude. I really wanted to give you props.
Oh, I really appreciate that, man. Between you saying that and Brandon being here, hey, Gary, I got to ask you because Brandon is we got to talk Brandon down from off the ledge. He's got this depressed look on his face about the A's. What do you think about this situation?
Hey, Brandon, don't do anything drastic, man. We actually hung out in Cavell's box together. So, Brandon, there's good times ahead. The city and the A's don't have the money, and they're both bumming out. They're both faking till they're exposed. And I think really what's going to have to happen is the A's are going to have to figure out a way to sell themselves to a somebody local that wants to make this one-time investment that will make Oakland great. Happen. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's my perspective.
Oh yeah, I hear you. I think, Gary, the problem isn't so much the money, because that tax increment financing plan would yield, if you assume a 4% rate of growth of assessed value and a target of $2 billion in assessed value down at Howard Terminal, $1,600,000,000 over a 45-year period, which they can bond $800 million off of. So money isn't the problem. You know what the problem is? Hey, Gary, if I may, you know what the problem is? Libby alluded to it for the first time. They don't know what they're doing.
Right.
All this is new to them. I've done this for 33 years.
Right. Who do they even have on board that has any development perspective? No one.
No. And the city staff, like Marley Mayburn, the project manager,
Right.
she's new. She's got their 2019. Betsy Lake is new.
You look at the A's. The A's didn't line everything up like the Warriors did and like the Giants did. They lined everything up. At this point, we're crossing T's and dotting I's.
Mm-hmm.
And the A's are as much at fault as the city is.
Oh, I agree. There's enough, because you have Libby and you have Dave, and they both are new to this, and neither one wants to admit that they are. And Dave says they have the people in the background. But look, myself, Pat Cashman, a number of people, Phil Tagami, we've all been around long enough to where we know redevelopment like the back of our hands. We know tax increment financing. We understand what happens when you say you want to do a tax increment financing district. We know who you need to talk to. This stuff could have been handled a year ago, but they passed SB 628 Beal, SB 293 Skinner, October 11th of 2019. It's got tax increment financing in it, okay? Baked in it. I thought right then, do you realize that at Nikki Fortunato Bass's event in Chinatown, the November 20th, it's on Zenny 62 on YouTube, on November 20th of 2019, after I interviewed, she said to me, we should talk about tax increment financing. I wanted to tell her group, about 90 people from the Chinatown neighborhoods. I said, hey, I wanted to tell them, hey, look, this is going to produce $1,400,000,000 that could be used in the community. Here's how tax increment financing works. Do you realize they didn't want me to tell them? Do you hear what I'm saying? But Gary, do you hear what I'm saying? They didn't want me to tell them.
You grew up with Libby.
Yeah.
That's really the disappointing thing, that they don't want it. They didn't want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And you had the door. It should have been open, but it wasn't.
No.
I blame Libby.
Yeah, it's like for some particular reason, she didn't want, because I even texted her. I said, I just did a press conference with her a few hours ago, and I didn't mean to be embarrassing toward her, but she's talking about technical issues I know like the back of my hand, and I had to ask her, like, for example, I said, hey, I said, hey, my friend Pat Gallagher was head of Giants Enterprises, right? And Pat used to talk about how this was really more talking about Pac Bell Park, what we used to call Pac Bell Park, Brandon. It's really more than a ballpark, because I said to Libby, I said, it's a large scale event center, and I said to Libby, I said, when I headed the Oakland A County Sports Commission, I identified 220 sports events that could be used around the city, and I asked her, I said, have the athletics or the city staff given you a list of the events that could be held at the ballpark in addition to baseball?
That's
and
right.
You know what she said first? This is on camera. She said, well, we have the event center. That's not the answer. I'm talking about what the ballpark can do. So you know what I did, Gary? This is what I had to do. I had to raise my hand and then go back to her and ask her the question again. And then she said, no one's given that to her. And I texted her later. I said, you just look, hire me as a consultant. Steve Kerr was a TV announcer. They hired him to be the Warriors coach. And you know what happened there? I'm happy to consult for you and basically clean up this mess.
You should have been in the mix. You should have been in the mix, Danny. And let me tell you that I think the only question for Libby is, when you lost the Raiders, what did you learn?
Nothing.
Did you learn anything? Did you learn one fucking thing?
No, she did not. And we didn't have a debrief, Gary. I even texted about that. We did not have a debrief to say, okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? And do you realize that, Gary and Brandon, that the matrix that they laid out for that Fortress Investments, remember Fortress? The matrix laid it out in terms of how the spending was going to go for the stadium. You don't even see that for this project, and yet it's the same situation, and yet they're hiding it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Also, it'll take 15 years to build the shit, so the 20-year dedicated to not leaving in 20 years. What it just shows what it's juvenile.
Yep.
And what's really sad is I really dislike, and I don't know what your perspective is on this, but my rep is District 3, and I think she had like lightning in a bottle, and she won, but she has no clue what she's doing, and yet her opposition, what's going on, it's all pathetic. It's pathetic.
It's unfortunate. I mean, I want to like her because you want to give your council member a chance to represent you, right?
Yeah,
but
she's already a loser. She's like somebody you do not want to bet on because she's going to drive you into the ground.
And I have texted her, I've called, I have been nice to her, and I will continue to be that because, her helping us helps ourselves, right? But she gets up there and she's on Twitter telling people to screw off and everything, and she's acting like an outsider. She's the council member.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So the thing is, the criteria to be in the voting block is just not acceptable. She's not qualified to be able to even vote, let alone have an opinion. And it really sucks. It sucks. And the fact that you're not in the decision making, you should be at battle with other people with, other financing schemes to make this happen, because there is nobody in the wings, for Christ's sake. Make this happen. Make it as robust as humanly possible. Seth Buckner, he's the former Rotary president.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got to talk to him about, what is going on in the negotiation. He's like, split it up. Separate the park from the development. Howard Terminal is a giveaway. Look at what they did with China, Brooklyn Basin, which I also never really liked. But at least Brooklyn Basin.
We used to call Oak to Ninth. Remember that?
Where is Gilmetti? Gilmetti should be in the discussion also.
Yeah, I think but here's the problem, Gary, and I think you hit on it. What Libby should do. I'm thinking it's too late because now people are celebrating Las Vegas athletics.
Vegas is not happening. You know why?
Why?
Because that was the dude that made that happen pressured the state and the city to give the 750 million.
Oh, you're talking about Sheldon Adelson. He's passed away. Yeah, I agree with you.
So Adelson is dead. So that means that's not going to happen again. Also, 8 games for the Raiders is not 81. I don't want you in a baseball stadium. I want you gambling. That is not going to happen. The A's are not going to Vegas. That is not going to happen.
I'm not going to bet against Las Vegas for one reason. One of the people that I know very well is one of the people that basically worked on the financing for the stadium, and I was helping him behind the scenes because I was telling them, basically, I said, look, your tax rate's too small, your bond's going to go into default, and they kept saying you're wrong, but he didn't, and we exchanged a lot of information, and we're friends to this day. He had already been into contact with David. In a fit of pick, I called him and I said, hey, look, I want you to meet Dave, okay? Because Las Vegas, when they decide to do something, they get aligned. And I'm really, I want Oakland to stop this stuff where everybody's got to have their little, like being a dog, like around a fire hydrant. And you know what I mean?
Yes.
And we don't get anything done. This is a wake up, Brandon. This is a multi.
I'm woke.
Okay. He's like sleep.
Does Brandon know who this is? Brandon, do you recognize who I am?
Hey, Brandon.
Come on, that's Flax Man. I was just saying, like, that's funny you said. Yeah, I'm just saying. I think it's funny how you said you wouldn't bet against Vegas, because like Vegas is where you're gambling, that casino and all that. But like most people go to Vegas to lose, and I'm not in the business of losing. That's why I kind of like woke up when you see stuff like Vegas.
But guys, what I'm talking about is that when it comes to economic development, look, you can't go to get Vegas and get a little bit pregnant. Look at the Fontainebleau, which they now call the Drew. It's still not finished, right? I'm not saying
no,
but it's easier to get things done faster there if you make the right connections. And Sheldon Adelson, West in Peace, is not the only rich guy around, and not only that. Okay,
Yep.
All right. I think, when all is said and done, what makes us not the best investment is we have the tools to make it work, right? We do, but we have to stop climbing all over each other and making this like a development issue or a black-white issue. We've done that for years, and you know what? That's how we lost. Remember you guys remember the shopping center that was supposed to be built in Uptown? There's 2 million square feet, and
where Kaiser was going to be?
Yeah, where Paul Cobb got together. This goes back to the old Economic Development Corporation of Oakland in 1985, and Paul Cobb, who's now the Oakland Post director, publisher, and owner, got together 43 community groups and killed it. And basically the argument then was, hey, look, you're not putting anything in the black community. You shouldn't be subsidizing this thing to bring in white people from the suburbs, okay? We have a litany of examples where we've killed projects because we didn't want something white. Right, okay, but check this out. Right, but check this out. It happens, and I'm not like a flaming conservative or anything. I'm an economic development guy. I'm just telling it like it is. It happens. It happens whenever there's a public-private partnership issue where the government is involved. But when it's solely private, now that we have removed the bugaboo of institutional investor racism that plagued Oakland for years, okay, now that the money is here, the development you get, Gary, is development that's market rate, a white clientele can more easily be there, right, and everything else. And when it comes to the city doing its work to use public money to make Oakland affordable, it falls apart. This group, not in the past, but this group falls apart.
You have debts to the employees and the unions. And, and those are unfunded liabilities that at some point the Ponzi scheme needs to ameliorate, and they can't do it. And so that's the thing. They want the private developers to pay off their, basically debts that are unsustainable. So, Oakland didn't have the money and was pretending to, and you had a lot of people that shouldn't even been in the room negotiating, including Libby. Libby's going to go down as losing all three teams. She's going to really, she will cement her history as being the mayor of a big town city that lost all three teams.
Gary, I think
pretty much.
Yeah,
so that's what she wanted. I guess she wanted for herself. You see, she went against her mom with the Raiders and all that, so she really didn't give a fuck.
It's like, I think, well, her mom's my god sister. I mean, I have my godparents, but I mean, as the person who told Libby to run for mayor on the 14th of May of 2009, I bear a lot of responsibility for this, because I even went so far as in 2010 as an April Fool joke to say she was running and scared the heck out of the political consultant that I ran to at the Colombo Club when Russo had us all for dinner. Larry. Larry.
Russo. You think Russo would have been a better mayor than Libby?
Yeah, I think John Russo would have been one of the best mayors we ever had. But John had a focus of making sure he had enough money for his sons and for his future, and so that explained, that. You got to God love him. John's family first, and so he did everything he did for his family ahead of his own personal ambitions. And so you gotta respect that. You gotta love that. That's why I'm here for my mom.
Are you in Atlanta now?
I'm in Fayette County, Georgia.
Okay. What's the weather like there?
It's warm. It's nice. I like it here as long as my mom is here. As long as she's happy, everything else I got to do more to make her happy. So that's the point that I'm at, my man. Hey, Brandon. So, hey, you guys. So, are you going to? I mean, what? I have to say this. All right, I have to say this. Marc Badain is gone. Did either of you know Marc Badain from the Raiders?
No.
I did. Okay. So I'll just say, hey, Marc did a lot of great things for the silver and black. I know there are some people who feel like, they were rubbed the wrong way by him. That even when he came off in his worst moments when we were in an interview, I understood it was sort of like just theater for me. Brandon, you're exhausted, man. Look.
No, my call dropped. But like Marc Badain, man, it's like I don't know him personally, but like I don't know what this movie's about. He got fired or he quit.
Yeah, there's a rumor that he got fired, or is that Marc Badain? He's the A's president. I mean, the A's, the Raiders. Yeah.
So, Brandon, are you, me, and Dobbins heading to Vegas? Are we going to watch like a game this fall in Vegas?
I'm gonna say no right now, man. It's just like shit, man. We still in the morning, bro. But I mean, hey, you want to go to Vegas one time? Let me know. I ain't going for that though. But if you want to go do something else with the CO,
Alliance Stadium looks amazing. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I checked out the Sacramento facility, where the Kings are playing. That's fucking gorgeous, man.
Mm-hmm.
You look at that, I haven't been to the Chase Center yet, but, these new arenas are gorgeous. They really
what's
are.
sad? What makes me sad about this whole thing is that, remember the excitement over the jewel box that Caval rolled out when he had Bjork?
Yeah, the renderings are gorgeous.
Yeah, and I thought, you know what? That's it. That's the future of Oakland. We're gonna soar. Yeah. This is gonna be so nice. And
think about it, right? Think about the rendering that you had, Zenny, at the Lucas event.
Yeah,
that was still about the East Oakland spot.
Yep.
With Coliseum City. But that was gorgeous.
Yep.
Also. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, and I, my only issue with developing down there right now, Gary, is a sea level rise problem. But as I was talking to Mike Jacob, who is the lawyer for the longshoremen, I do say that hey, you know what, guys? Let me ask you a question. How does the name Oakland Rays baseball team sound to you?
Oakland Rays.
We have a chance of stealing Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Really? Yeah. See, to me, that feels a little sleazy. I don't want to steal somebody. I want fucking,
Well, it's been done to us.
I know.
Nah. We ain't like them. Like, Las Vegas was still an NBA team next, and it could be the Bucks. The Bucks talk about leaving before the season. They won a championship. And so they talk about going to Seattle or going to Las Vegas.
Wait. Why would the Bucks? The Bucks just got a new arena. Where are they going?
Oh, my God.
Mean, it's the Bucks. It's the Bucks and the New Orleans Pelicans to talk about leaving their cities.
New Orleans, I can see. Well, maybe, but the Bucks, they got a new arena. Got the Deer Park over there.
God, yeah. This was wonderful for them. This was like what we experienced on the first Warrior win.
Yes,
the sheer joy. We got to experience sheer joy. And Milwaukee is just fucking freaking out right now. It's just so nice.
And I've got the videos from it. My friend's niece sent me videos I'm going to put up after we talk here. And she was down in the thick of it. 65,000 people losing their minds.
Why not?
At the Deer, what is it called?
Deer Valley. Deer Valley.
Yeah,
Deer Valley. 65,000 people losing their minds in Deer Valley.
Where the fuck is that? What is that? The ballpark is built on the water also?
It's actually near the water, but Deer Valley is really it's a person-made canyon between two buildings in something called, I think, is Mecca Center, I believe it's called. So, and that's where they all congregate when you don't have a ticket. You don't need one. You can just hang out outside, weather permitting. And
do they have huge screens? They got the big screens like they do
outside. Yeah, the kind of thing that we could actually do, if Oakland had a mind to have sports teams, we could do that for City Hall. Put one screen on the Flatiron building right over there.
Easily, yep.
And then just have this giant butt party. We can fit 65,000, but we can hit 18,000. Down there in City Hall, and just make the whole area around City Center just like a celebration city or something like that.
Yeah, the bottom line is thoroughfares, infrastructure, all of the things that the city needs to know what they need to fucking do should be spelled out. It's not extorting the A's to make it happen.
Right.
The city should know this is an investment in us. We need to do this, and we're going to make this happen, and not extort the A's for more and more and more and more.
Well, the city, you know what? The city has to get, like Libby should have a task force with people like myself, like Pat Cashman, like Phil, like yourself, other people who are involved, like 30 or 40 strong, and really just hammer out a doable plan in a couple of sessions, and then stick to it, and then just fucking implement it. I mean, I'll be 60 a year from now, and we all have been around long enough to know what works and what doesn't, and yet they wanted to keep everything in house. They did that with the Raiders, guys. Libby, Libby said, "Well, I have my task force. Who is it? Well, it's my staff." I said, "Libby, they don't."
But Dylan's task force wasn't any better either, and that was inclusive. So that's the opposite side of the equation.
Well, I think that was different though, because that task force you're talking about, which I have the video for Dellums.
Yeah.
Chris. You know who was over that, right? That was Krista Benedetti.
Okay.
And who's now the journalist, and Chris was the chair. And look, Chris is a friend. I like Chris, but Chris sadly played too much politics. He was too fearful of what he thought Ron would do. I understand, because Ron appointed him, but what happened during that time is that Doug Boxer had formed his own baseball group, and there were not less than the Chamber of Commerce had its own baseball group, and Dellums was not bringing us together, and I got pissed off and quit, and I wrote about it in my blog, and also my version when I was blogging over posting on sfgate.com, because I didn't like it. I said, you know what, we're not going to get anything done with these competing people. I just lost Gary. I'll get him back. Competing people. Hey, Gary? Hey, Gary?
Yeah, Zane.
Yeah, we got you. It's a little call drop thing. Anyway, I was saying that when we had it, there were 4 different groups, and Doug Boxer had his group, and we found out by accident that Boxer's group was formed. That was in 2009. Nobody told us.
Yeah, but Boxer was on the city planning commission, so that should have been obvious. And the fact that he was Barbara's son,
Yeah, I know, but my point is that,
and he's the lawyer of Gilmetti. The whole.
I get that, but my point is that, look, I don't care. My point is, if you're going to put me and you and somebody else on different groups, and then play us off each other, forget it. We're not going to get anything done. And what happened? Nothing got done.
We all need to be in the same room and voice our concerns.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Right. People that were not in the room. Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, you say that about him. I could say, hey, look, hey, Gary, I'm the only guy in Oakland's history to have tried to bring the Super Bowl to Oakland. There's
the other guy that belongs in the room is that guy Fred Blackwell.
Right, because Fred was a great economic.
Oh my God, you and Fred need to be in the same room, and that would be an amazing, That's the way to get this done.
Yeah,
and that can take it to the next level, because you have pretenders in the fucking seats right now, and they will punch it. So the bottom line is, Libby wants to she's riding the clock out. She doesn't want to lose the 3rd team under her tenure. That's her only goal. She is not done in a way that you would respect.
But the thing about it is that if she doesn't want to lose the 3rd team under her tenure, you know what she's got to do? Get her friends. Look, Libby's got to do she's got to do what she did to get elected the first time. You call on your friends. Call on me.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I understand.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yep.
I understand.
That's like that guy Brian Parker.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something not right where they're just about too into themselves, and when it comes down to it, rely on the team that got you there. And Brian Parker did the same thing. So also good dude,
Yeah, good dude, definitely.
But bottom line is, when it came down to it, you need to take advice, and you're not doing it.
Right. No, that is true. That is true. He was the front runner over Libby for a while.
He was impressive. Oh man, when you first met him, I mean, again, there's a lot of impressive people out here trying to express themselves, but then there isn't some sort of like a Jerry Brown, quite honestly, because Eliu couldn't do it. That wasn't his skill, and it certainly wasn't Dylan's skill. And Gene Kwan, we're not.
But under Elihu, though, Gary, I'll defend my boss because Elihu understood business. He understood affordable housing. He understood city building. Modern Oakland got built under Elihu, not Jerry.
Under Elihu inherited the earthquake, so he gets a pass because, in a way, it's being dealt a really shitty hand.
Well, but here's the thing, though. Actually, you know what, though? He handled. Here's why I disagree with you, my friend. Elihu took the earthquake situation and the fire situation, and it was Oakland's bureaucracy led by Henry Gardner at its fine, and Craig Hoshin at its finest. Okay.
And Henry Gardner is who Gene Kwan brought back.
Yeah.
So it's a decades of fucking mismanagement. Yeah, no.
But what I'm saying though is that
he got dealt a shitty hand.
Right, but here's the thing though. But you know what he did though? He negotiated smartly to get a number of downtown projects started, including the refurbishment of much of Broadway, much of the growth of much of northern downtown. We finally got City Center off the ground and on the way toward completion. Now it's right. I mean, what Jerry did was ushered in gentrification.
It happens in waves. So I take your point though. Elihu was during a wave that was significant. And you got the guy Johnson that busts in the 12th Street BART. But that was another racist shit. Like the BART, when they felt that Oakland was forcing them to build 12th and 19th Street, they basically said, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
And building BART on 7th, also killing black business. That also was a fuck you to Oakland, right? And Oakland has to recover from that. And
redevelopment is supposed to help, and we never implemented it.
Right.
Because never implemented. Now we've got this situation where it's bad.
Yeah. Hey, what is it? What do you call it? It's
darkest before the dawn.
Huh?
I was stealing your thunder. You said, "Hey, what do you call it?" I said, "You call it darkest before the dawn."
Yeah. No, it's the critical race theory is really what it is.
Break
it down. Capitalism is tied to it. Yeah, but see, here we go. I think that the salvo. This was a salvo tonight, and in the theme of Giannis winning the championship, I'm so fucking happy for that guy, man.
Yeah,
I think
I am too.
Is an underdog. We're an underdog also. We're trying to fucking win, and there's all these obstacles in our way over and over and over again, just like Milwaukee, right?
Right.
Fuck.
Except, but there's a difference, though. Milwaukee is together. We're not.
We will be, Zenny. And let me just circle back on why I called you. Is you are contributing to the function, right? The conversation needs to expand so more people are in it. You were shut out of some of the conversation, but you found a pathway. You've been doing it forever. You're one of the oldest YouTubers I know, in fact.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey,
guys, Gary, do you realize that I am roughly 2.5 years from actually really being Zenny 62?
Right.
Oh, Lord, help me get there.
Right. Yeah, I know, it's wild. It's fucking mind-blowing.
Oh.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to jump off. But
okay.
Brandon, Zenny, man, I love both of you guys. I really do.
Love you too, man. Definitely.
Get out of here.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, man. See ya. Yeah.
All right.
Gary Waxman, great real estate guy, great friend. It's nice. That was an impromptu call. Then he's going to call. And Brandon, what do we do, man? Trying to
what do we do?
Eric Sterling says he says, Zenny, do you think the governor Newsom might jump in to fix this issue? I think, you know what, Eric, that's a great question. I think this really tees it up for Governor Newsom. to get involved and be the man who walks in a white hat and saves the day for the city of Oakland and for the Athletics. And all he's got to do is come out and make a statement. And Gavin's been quiet. He's been working behind the scenes, but the state needs to get more active in this because Oakland needs help. And when I mean help, I mean Oakland needs what Las Vegas had with respect to the Raiders, and that is this powerful pipeline of people that included Harry Reid, who is the great legislator there, the great senator of Nevada, and it incorporated the governor, Brian Sandoval, who created the Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Committee. It had Sheldon Adelson involved, of course. You got together Steve Wynn and the Fornato brothers and all these Las Vegas greats. Wayne Newton was involved. Everybody was involved in getting the Raiders to Las Vegas. And we need that kind of all hands on deck. And, instead what we have is we have people arguing for their share, It's like wanting their piece as opposed to, hey, how do I give up what I want for the good of the whole? And then how do I figure out how to engineer on the back end? And by the way, maybe I should have been involved in the initial negotiations, which should have occurred a year ago with respect to tax increment financing revenue use with the County of Alameda, BART, AC Transit, the school district, and the EB Mud Flood Control district, which didn't happen. And then they wasted time until Major League Baseball said, we're moving. And then it was like, oh, let's get it together. Oh, we've got to go and get money, and we got to ask for help from the county. All right? All because Major League Baseball said, too sweet. These are things that should have been done a year ago. All right.
Well, all I gotta say is Oakland doesn't have it like Las Vegas. We got to come to that fact, that reality, because it's just flowing the streets of Las Vegas. It's gambling out there, and it's ways to make money, and a whole lot of ways to lose it. So Oakland doesn't have that luxury, sadly. And me being born and raised in Oakland, we're a major league city, but we get treated like the minor leagues when it comes to the money aspect of it.
We're major league has major league money. We just don't act like it. We don't act like it. We act like somebody else has it. We act like San Francisco should do it, and we're afraid to do it. There's always an excuse. Do you realize there was a study that somebody had commissioned where the blankety blanks, expletive deleteds that wrote it said, oh, this subsidy is too big. This project is too big for the city of Oakland. This is not something that's done. I'm thinking, who the heck are they to get scared by numbers? Just get out of here. Shut up. I couldn't believe it. It was a loser mentality. It was a loser mentality document that had no business hitting the light of day, and yet it did. Ridiculous.
Well, that's what they're putting out, that loser mentality. Is like, shit, we just lost the Warriors. We just lost the Raiders. It was like,
Brian. Remember, Brian. We got to get Brian in here. Hold on a second. We gotta make it a party. Get Brian in here.
I gotta get up out of here though in a minute, Zenny.
Uh-oh.
So Brian,
are you doing the red eye thing? Are you doing the thing where you are working super late or something? Or
no, I'm off this week. I gotta get up out here. I got an incoming call coming in, man.
You got a what?
I have an incoming call.
You got a what?
I have an incoming call coming in.
Oh yeah, man, incoming. Okay, you'll go do your thing with the incoming call, and yeah, we'll figure out a way to. We'll get back to you, and we'll get you back here later in the week. How's that?
Sounds good, Zenny.
All right, my man.
All right.
Talk to you soon. Okay, man. I'll see you.
All right. Peace and A's Nation. Stay up. We shall overcome.
We shall overcome ourselves. Hey, Brian, I'm trying to get you here. I'm going to send you a link. You know what I'm going to do? I'm trying to find you here, Brian. I'm going to send you a link to get your comments in here. There you are. And message. And I'm writing on Facebook, Brian. I'm Facebook Messenger. I'm writing LINK. And then your StreamYard link. Just sent you a StreamYard link, my man, Brian. So chime in there. I'd love to hear your comments on this and can move forward with this. T Major says, that's beautiful part of went to Seattle. Couple loved it. And you guys having some place. Oh, yeah, he lives in Calumet, Washington. Brian, come on down, man. I just sent you the link through your Facebook, and here he is. How you doing, my man?
Hey, what's going on, Zinni?
Oh, my God. I feel like, do we have to go through this stuff again?
Hey, what's going on, Zinni?
Oh, my God. I feel like, hey, please, get your sound back there.
There's feedback, major feedback.
Yeah. So I can hear it because it's coming through. It's the feedback is.
There's feedback, major feedback. Oh, great.
Yeah.
I know why. All right, now it's gone.
All right, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
How you doing? Hey, congratulations on the new house, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Did you get the Vegas lights put in?
Yeah, we got the pool. We have our Vegas. I saw your comment about our Vegas resort style pool. Yeah, we just don't have we haven't hired the showgirls yet, but other than that, we're.
When you do, let me know. I'm all right. What do you think about this mess we're in again?
Yeah, here we are again, huh?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Oakland Stadium saga version, 3, 4? No, more than that.
Yeah, remember the forum we had where 14 or 15 mayoral candidates came? You helped out with the video, and wow. And that was the Raiders, and then it just seems like
that was at the church, right? That was at that church in Oakland,
Lakeshore Mandana.
Yeah.
Baptist Church on Lakeshore Mandana. Yeah. Okay.
So,
what are your thoughts about this? And Vegas again, maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this. First off, the situations are much different. I mean, the Raiders situation is so different from this A situation. I mean, I just never saw the Raiders like. I never even saw an attempt that's even close to what's going on between the A's and the city of Oakland, where the Raiders liked to tell people that they did everything they could do to stay in Oakland when really they did basically nothing to stay in Oakland, right? I mean, I remember there was a couple of drawings. I think you uncovered one of the drawings, and then they tried to deny it. Am I remembering this right?
Right, yeah. Meets Architects, and the guy contacted me on Twitter out of the blue and said, well, I contacted him, but he said, well, the Raiders weren't our client. And look, I know how the Raiders roll. The Raiders were their client, okay? Yeah. And not only that, the drawing that he presented, the one where it looked like the Seahawks Stadium in a way, that one, yeah. That matched what Nate Miley told me he saw at Raider headquarters September of 2016, specifically September 5th of 2016, if memory serves correctly.
That must have just been a coincidence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
But anyway, as far as the A situation goes, I actually for all of the there's just so much back and forth, and I actually I don't know why, but I kind of left today's city council meeting. I actually feel more hopeful that this is going to get done in Oakland, and I'm confused about Dave Cavill's some of his he says a lot of things that seem to contradict other things that he says, and I don't know. For example, it's kind of you have to vote on our thing and it's done. It's either that or our way or the highway. But then in today's meeting, it seemed like he was open to continue negotiations up until the council takes their summer break. It wasn't a hard. All of a sudden, it's not a hard deadline where today has to be our way or the highway. So,
for example, he said on my interview with him that he was open to having a developer partner, and then he also said that he was open to doing something else other than using the enhanced infrastructure financing district approach. And then on the flip side, I asked Libby what she thought, and basically what she said mirrored his like that. So I'm thinking, well, why are they having these problems if they're saying this unless they're just, it's like immediate posturing so that they can actually congratulate themselves on having the answer for the moment, right?
Or it's just trying to create a sense of leverage where maybe you don't have it. I don't know. But the thing that I thought that was really interesting, and first off, let's talk about Rob Manfred for just a second. And he keeps sending out these messages, and I understand. All he's doing is he's relaying something that's told to him by John Fisher or Dave Cavill. I just wish that maybe he would just kind of stop doing that, and because he doesn't even know what the city of Oakland proposed. I guarantee you, he has no idea what they proposed. He's just going with what they're telling him.
You're right. He makes these mistakes all the time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But anyway, out of today's meeting, I think that what I thought was the most interesting, and I think it probably is the thing that probably Dave Cavill, when he heard this in the meeting, because he was talking in his presentation. Did you watch the entire, or did you watch the whole, most of it, or a lot of it?
All on live stream? Yeah.
Oh, you saw the whole. Yeah. So
there was a glitch where I got out of part of his presentation, but
booted out.
I didn't I got booted. I was really weird behaving, and then I got back in, and I got in just in time to hear what Carol Fife was saying. And then the rest of it. So there's a lot that I just ran and I got everything. I got I would say 96, 94%, 95% of it. Yeah. Online. Yeah.
So
5 hours of this stuff. 5 hours.
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, how long was that county meeting? That was 7 or 8 hours. That meeting.
I have that 7 hours and 31 minutes. I have all of that.
I know. I was watching, but that was a long meeting. And but anyway, what I was going to say is that I think that the thing, Rebecca introduced some of the some new amendments, I believe, into the bill that was presented by the city. Now, Dave acted surprised, in his comments, he acted surprised as if oh, we haven't had a chance to review this, but it seems to me that those things had to have been talked about ahead of time with the negotiators, but maybe not.
No, in fact, I opened up the question at the press conference with that, and the explanation I got back from the mayor wasn't the best, because not only that, also Mike Jacob, who is on opposite sides of Dave,
right,
he agreed. It came out of the blue. It came out of the blue, and they hadn't had time to look at it. And it was this. And look, we do this all the time. Under normal circumstances, we have these resolutions, but you don't want to be in a situation. In other words, when I say resolutions, I mean a last-minute resolution. But in a development situation, when you have a negotiating party and you're going to introduce it, it's pretty much assumed that you talk to the other party.
Right. You don't just introduce it in the public forum. You don't spring it on someone.
Right.
With no advance. That's why I just assumed that maybe that someone had seen it before. Maybe that is correct, that they hadn't seen it before. But what I'm guessing is that if that's true, if that's 100% true, that they had never seen any of these amendments or knew that any of these amendments were coming, I'm thinking that probably the one thing that probably took them back and said, well, wait a second here. It's that off-site transportation infrastructure investment, and where basically the city of Oakland today completely changed the kind of the tone. They have said that the developer, so the A's, have no responsibility for these off-site costs. So first off, I think that it's because they have the $270 million from the state. That was part of the budget that's meant for infrastructure improvements, and it just happens to be earmarked for around the port of Oakland. So it's basically this project, right? And I think you were one of the first to report about
was the first.
You were the first to report about the.
Yeah, and I was the first to report it.
Yeah.
And the person that knew it didn't want me to have the information to begin with. and so they were trying to hold off on it and play some tricks. Whatever.
Well,
Yeah, they lost. But the whole point though is that the big problem, the reason why that whole thing came about with respect to Rebecca is she's really intelligent, but the trouble is that sometimes she's too cute by half, and she likes to insert her idea and basically say, I'm actually going to run for mayor, so I've got this great idea, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
And she does it without thought to, well, hey, did you share it with Dave Cavall? Did you kick it by the A's? And by the way, do you know what the total tax increment revenue throw off will be at 4% rate of growth of assessed value, assuming a 2% base year? And I say that again and again and again because, Brian, they don't deal with money up front.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about Fortress investments.
Yeah.
We had that nice little kind of sources and uses matrix of where the money was coming from to pay for the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
You ever see that for the A's stadium?
No.
See? And yet you're asking what we learned. And obviously we not only didn't learn anything, we took a step backward in terms of presentation. And then Libby said in the interview, she said, well, we're new at this. Well, when I asked her about whether or not you would be open, I asked her about the problems regarding tax increment. She basically admitted, she says, well, we're new at this. We haven't done redevelopment in a long time. And I texted her and I said, hey, look, you need to hire me to help you out. Because I wasn't trying to embarrass her, but this is my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I said to her in the text, I said, you would be like, you bringing in Steve Kerr as a TV announcer to be your head coach. Why not? You know how that came out. So my point is, and I say that, like, for example, if I need to find out about hotels and hotel pricing in the market in Las Vegas, who do I call? I call you. Mm-hmm. I don't know about it. You do. You're my friend. So you call on your friends.
Yeah.
Am I missing something? It's wild. It really. And by the way, speaking of which, we're overdue to do another program.
Yeah, we haven't done that. Yeah. Things have drastically changed in Las Vegas since we've last talked.
For better or worse?
What's better? So Vegas has turned around completely. Like just to maybe a tease on the segment, but that market has completely turned around from the last time that you and I talked, where they were down, and they are now. The hotel market in Vegas right now, based on the latest results from Smith Travel Research, is that the market is actually beating 2019 revenues.
Say what?
2019, which was a normal year. So they're now beating they're beating the revenue from a normal year, and they're 5x over 2020. So it's crazy the numbers we're coming to in Vegas right now.
So that means, let me riddle me this. That's happening without much overseas travel, right?
With no overseas travel. It's domestic.
You say.
Domestic. And what's happening is what we're seeing is the booking window, and this is because not to completely get off into the hotel stuff, but whatever.
It's relevant though. It's
relevant, yeah. The booking window, so the amount of time prior to someone making a booking and arriving at the hotel to stay for the reservation. And this has to do with overseas travel. So before, the booking window for Las Vegas was actually was one of the longest booking windows that we had in the hotel industry, because people, if you're traveling from overseas, go ahead.
Can you tell my viewers what is meant by a booking window?
Yeah, so a booking window is, so you booked the reservation today for next Saturday. So that would be, you're booking a week and a half in advance of actually going. So that's the booking window. So it's from the time that you book to the time you actually come and stay. So so most markets, the booking window is actually very short, and it has been for a long time. We're talking 1 to 3 days. Like, so people book a reservation today, and then they come and they stay on Thursday or Friday. So very, very short booking windows. The exceptions to that have always been Las Vegas. San Francisco has been an exception to that for a long time, where people book ahead of time. But it's the places where the booking windows are longer, where people book way further out, are cities depend on a lot of international travel, which San Francisco is one of them. San Francisco still hasn't recovered from any of this. Like the hotel business in San Francisco is still very down because there's no international travel, and they depend on a lot of international travel, tourist travel. Well, Vegas is the same kind of way. So normally the booking windows are very far because people who are traveling internationally, you have to plan further in advance to book to come, right? You don't get on a plane tomorrow, to go to Vegas from England, right? Like it's my vacation. So people normally have to plan these trips out much further in advance. Well, the booking window has shrunk in Las Vegas to like 1 to 3 days. It's made it very difficult for the hotel operators to staff correctly because they'll look at tomorrow and go, man, we don't have very many rooms sold. We don't need very many housekeepers. And then they sell all the rooms. So now we're just to the point where we're depending that we just assume we're going to sell all the rooms so that we can have the staffing is a completely different subject. But it's completely remote. But what we're seeing is that it started last year. And it kind of gradually has been building up where we're seeing like so many people who are just they drive to Las Vegas. It's a huge market from like Los Angeles. They drive over to Vegas and they just show up with no reservations, just to walk into our hotels and say, "Hey, I'm here. Do you have a room?" So
how much were developments like Resorts World opening? How much did that play a factor as well?
It's definitely a factor. People want to go and see it. I'll tell you that the Garth Brooks concert, which was basically the very first kind of big event for Allegiant Stadium, was off the charts, like crazy busy, and we got a lot of bookings in advance. One of my hotels is actually just like 2 blocks from Allegiant Stadium, so. That hotel was very, very busy.
Congratulations, man! The Wyndham. He represents the Wyndham chain, folks. By the way.
Yeah.
Some of the finest hotels in the world. Great hotels in Las Vegas as well, too. Mm-hmm. Hey, so what does this all portend for CES? Does it mean I better get my room now?
Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, I would. We can talk about your room offline for CES, but. For for sure, but I mean, like we're already seeing bookings for it, so and that's January,
right?
I know that they did make a slight adjustment, I think, to the schedule. Originally, they had scheduled it over a weekend, and I think they've moved back to the midweek. I think if I'm
they used to do that. They used to have it like Wednesday.
Yeah,
that was like the mid second decade of the 21st century.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to where the first day people were flying in was Saturday, and CES unveiled was Sunday. Now it's from which I haven't looked at it in depth. I just put in.
I don't remember now. On the top of my head, I don't remember, but yeah. So
this will be my 12th year as press straight. So yeah, we need to do that. In fact, hey, let's talk offline because it's 1:13 here, and we can go on and talk forever. So
yeah. But just in closing, I was just going to say that I think that's a huge development that the city is saying that the A's will not have responsibility for the offsite costs of the offsite transportation infrastructure investment. And the reason I say that is because doesn't it make it easier to get to a deal without having to have a second special tax financing district?
Well, really, you don't. Here's the problem. Tax increment financing comes from one source, and that's Howard Terminal. Right. And the question, what people are mixed up about, and this is the city's fault, is because they're using the enhanced infrastructure financing district approach, people are tied up into shapes of neighborhoods and shapes of districts. But the only thing the city should be worried about in the A's is the base year assessed value.
Right. Because they have to have the amount.
Right. And so if you have, and what we used to do when I was coming up, this goes back to when I was an intern with a redevelopment agency in 1987, we pegged our assessed value targets for the base year. Why? Because the larger, let me put it this way. If you start with respect to Howard Terminal at $1 billion for base year assessed value, then you're going to look, if you're saying you're going to go do a 40-year bond issue at a 4% rate of growth per annum, you're looking at a total possible increment revenue of just under $800 million, which is going to give you a bonding capacity when all is said and done about $400 million or thereabouts. But if you say, hey, look, we're going to do $2 billion, all right, 4% rate of growth of assessed value, guess what? It kicks up to $1.6 billion. Now, that's under the new way, the enhanced infrastructure way. But if we went back to the old redevelopment way, which is used in AB2, which is called Community Revitalization and Investment Authority Act, which is kind of like the old redevelopment agency, which was passed in 2015, then we can say to all the taxing agents, we'll say the school district, hey, we'll make you a deal. And I know that it says in the law that we shouldn't be using their money, but there's nothing that's, they're not going to throw you into jail for talking, especially if you can say to the school district, we'll give you $100 million up front. Hey, right? So we make a deal with them. We make a deal with BART, AC Transit, the EB Mud Flood Control District, and of course the County of Alameda, right? All right. If we did all of that in the Howard Terminal parlance, we would go from $800,000 the first year to $20.8 million the first year. Why is that important? Because now we can bond up front, whereas the consultants were telling the city, well, you know, you got to wait like 11 years to do anything, and they never structured a bond issue. It's a crazy way to do a project. You spent a year with the community negotiating this, you didn't cost it out, and then you didn't have a plan to pay for it up front. And so, right? It's craziness. We've never done projects like that before in my life. And so I'm thinking it's like Keystone Cops or something. And that's why when I made the comment that I stick by, I said that the staff is incompetent. And I don't mean to insult them personally, but they do not have the intellectual horsepower to do this because they haven't done it before. Mm-hmm. And someone was telling me, I think I don't want to drop a name, but was saying, well, the one-up person just came from the private sector. The private sector isn't better in this case. That makes it worse because it means they don't know how, they don't know the legislation. They don't know the calculations. They're focusing on standard real estate transactions. This is not that. This is an animal unto itself. Mm. So it adds up to a lot of chefs in the kitchen that don't know what they're doing. On top of that, we have new council members who are not familiar with this, and they try to fake like they are, and then they have these issues about, I'm talking to a billionaire and all this. Who cares?
Yeah, none of that matters.
Yeah, none of that matters.
None of that matters. Yeah.
What matters is, again, we're talking about the cost. How much for a space year assessed value? That will drive how much money you can use for transportation and everything else. Mm-hmm. If they're not doing it that way, and that's why they're getting all mixed up and they're all contorted and everything. They're making it too complicated.
Yeah. And then just like, and then just kind of in close. I know it's very late in Atlanta, in Georgia, but so I'll say that I know Noel Gallo. I know him actually. I know him pretty well. He's a very nice man.
I like Noel. I really do. Go Bears.
He's a nice guy. But man, was he off base in that meeting today. He was just seemed out of touch and just not understanding the reality of the situation. And I
he seemed like he had another agenda. He had somebody else that was kind of
the East Oakland Stadium Alliance, I think maybe, but I don't know, really crazy stuff. I am hopeful that this gets done in Oakland, though. I'm hopeful, and I think that I definitely see a path to it getting done. Whether it happens or not is another story, but I do see that I think there's a clearer path today to getting the stadium at Howard Terminal than there was at the beginning of the year. That's what.
You don't take the hashtag Las Vegas Athletics thing seriously?
No, not yet.
Hey, he works in Las
Vegas. I take it serious. I take the whole. I take it serious, but I don't think that they're going to move tomorrow.
No, not tomorrow. I not tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll get you back. Hey, stick around offline, folks.
All right.
It's 1:20. Live long and prosper in your world. We'll be back, folks. And Brian, stick around in the backstage.
Yeah.
This broadcast, folks. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark OaklandNewsNow.com. And that ends this broadcast. Thanks, everybody.